Well, we're fucking starting, Dorian. We're already live, so you
Oh, we're
situate
already
yourself.
live.
Yeah, we're already live. And I will welcome all of our Vikings brothers and sisters for joining us this week. You got Dorian and I trying to figure this shit out right now, so good fucking luck if you can make it through this. I, I, I kid. I think people like it when we do this. They must. They still keep tuning in, so.
Of course,
And
because
what
we're awesome.
I know, and what a good way to spend your Saturday night than with or Friday night
I was
than with
about to.
us here at the Purple People podcast.
Friday, Saturday doesn't matter. Each day it doesn't matter.
Man, the week is here. We are at what are we at? 335 episodes of this bullshit. I'm still amazed every week that we've been doing this for as long as we have.
hmm
Yeah, for sure.
Very, very much awesome, man. Sorry, call me
Uh,
drinking.
you you gotta show off your cup. You gotta show off that
Oh
awesome
yeah!
Randy Moss cup you got
Shout out to
because
my
that's cool shit.
shout out to my Viking brother Michael Vanderhart. He sent me this cool Randy Moss Hall of Fame inductee cup.
Yeah, that's freaking sweet.
Real nice, man. So love you,
That
brother.
is freaking sweet. Well, let's say, like I said, it's just Dorian and I this week, and we don't have a lot of stuff to talk about. But what we do have to talk about is a couple big things that you may have heard of. We are going to have a new special teams coordinator, and we have a new offensive coordinator, same as the old one, but he's officially our coordinator now. So that's a cool thing to talk about. But that'll come a little bit later on in this week's episode. We have some quick hits to talk about first. The survival. We do have a winner of the survival league, Dorian, but I'm going to let Adam go ahead and talk about that one next week when he rejoins us because the survival league is really his baby. That's his thing that he puts together and takes care of. So I think it's only fair if Adam gets to fully discuss that one.
Yeah, let's not take away his baby. That's not cool.
Yeah, but that's really cool. We got a winner. Some cool gifts that he's going to be giving away as well too. Always really neat. But Adam Zimmer, hey, you know who he is? He is the son of our head coach. He's also the linebackers coach for the Vikings. Will serve as the head coach for the West team in the 2019 East-West Shrine game on Saturday, January 19th. That is kind of like what? Kind of like the Pro Bowl a little bit for college players coming out.
Yeah, kind of like a Pro Bowl, pretty much like a last showing of talent, as far as like of NFL scouts. A lot of NFL scouts are at that game to
Right.
um, check players out and everything. So kind of like last man for for players to get a spotlight shown on them.
Yep. Good opportunity for him to get in there and get up close and, scout some talent and see what they're like when you're actually coaching them. Your X and O's and a game plan and how well they can perform. So pretty doing that. Plus, it's a neat opportunity for him to get an opportunity to be a head coach for a team as well too. We got a couple in the chat. I was 10 minutes ago that we haven't seen Purple People podcast for a while. Well, that is what Dorian and I are here for, so we are glad you were with us.
Yes,
Running a
indeed.
little, and we are running a little late this week, but that times we're sick. I'm still getting over a cold, and Kyle Smith is starting a new job, and Adam still has some stuff going on, so
Beating up people at grocery stores.
yeah. Yeah, that's what you're doing. Beating people
Yeah,
up at grocery stores.
I'm not proud of it, but I mean, saying when we doing security, I guess that's all a part of the plan. But it was just so stupid. Didn't have to go there. And I don't claim myself to be the toughest man on the planet or all that.
Did you
I
ever
don't.
Did you
But
ever watch Jerry Springer back in the day?
of course,
What was the name of the security guard?
The one that got famous was
Was it
Steve.
was it Steve?
Steve, yeah, Steve.
Yeah, was it Steve? That I'm gonna imagine that's what you do every day, just like
Shoot,
Steve
not
throwing
even.
people out.
I'll put it like this: what Steve did, Steve had more responsibility than I have.
Yeah.
I'm in a situation with not to get off into a tangent, but I'm in a situation where I'm security, but I can't do security things. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that shit sucks.
But then at the same time, if something happens, everybody's looking at me as security. Why didn't you do A? Why didn't you do B? And it's like I'm like handcuffed. I can't do things. It sucks, Kyle. Like I'll be honest. I mean, hey, it's a paycheck. I'm not complaining, because I could not be working, so I'm not complaining. But it
Hey
just
man,
still sucks.
that's why we're here on a Friday night to decompress and talk about Vikings football.
Right.
Because our season's over with. We can just like relax and have fun at this point.
Right. So yeah.
We got 10 players that have been signed to future/reserve contracts. Essentially like the practice squad. Like this is the first little bit of people that the players can retain. Rock Thomas, Jeff Bidet, he's a wide receiver. Quarterback Jalen Myrick. Center Cornelius Edis. Linebacker Richard Clint. Tackle Storm Norton. Tight end Cole Hi I don't know how to pronounce that. Defensive end Curtis Cothran and tackle Adam Bishonow. Boy, some of these players got awesome names. I don't know
Good
how
job,
to I don't know how to pronounce that. Bishonowity? I don't know. I'm terrible at that shit. That's why we need Kyle Smith here for, because he can run through all that shit and just make it up and make it sound good.
Right.
But there's a couple players in there that I think Vikings fans will be excited for. Rock Thomas, he was on the active roster last year. Jeff Bidet was a wide receiver I've heard a little bit about. You never know. Cornelius Edison, Storm Norton. There are help on the offensive line, so you never know what players you can develop along and bring them along. Bring along, like Adder said, there's a bunch of people that you haven't really heard of, but there was a point, when we hadn't really heard Adam Thielen, and he came from way
Yes,
down below the
right. That
depth of the
same
roster like that too. So
exactly that same list. His name was on that list once upon a time. And yeah, we already know what we have now.
oh, here's a fun topic. I forgot I had this one in here. Uh there's a rumor floating around about Laquan Treadwell. Have you heard this one, Dorian?
I think so. Does it have anything to do with the Oakland Raiders
The
being interested
Oakland,
in?
yeah,
Oh, that's real?
interested in Laquan Treadwell. How serious are we taking this rumor? Like, how serious do you take Oakland?
You know what? I'll put it to you like this. The moves that John Gruden has made, we don't have to get into detail because we already know the moves, but
Sure.
pretty much we highlighted it and kind of joked around in our message board. If John Gruden picked up Nathan Peterman, quarterback Nathan Peterman, the golden boy himself, it's like this sounds right here. This sounds like a John Gruden move. Oh well, I'll trade Amari Cooper for a number one draft pick. I'll trade Khalil Mack for some top draft picks. Yeah,
Right.
I'll give them away. But this guy right here, man. That's my horrible John Gruden impression. Uh, yeah, so I'm assuming that he's looking at. I wouldn't be surprised if Laquan Treadwell is that guy that like Gruden is like, you know what, we can do something with him. Whatever.
And Mike Mayock, who was just hired as their general manager, was also really high on Laquan Treadwell coming out of the draft. Like that was Mike Mayock's number one receiver. Like he was really high on Laquan. If Oakland wants him, fuck, come get him. What do you want to give us? Take him.
Yeah.
I am over Laquan Treadwell. we've tried. There is no part of his and his whole shitload of drops that he's had that makes me believe it is ever going to work for him in Minnesota. If Oakland thinks they can turn it around for him, by all means, I will not be angry if he has success elsewhere. Well, what are they saying in the chat? A first round pick? You're not going to get a first round pick out of Laquan Treadwell. I have no idea what his value would be. I would take a fifth, fifth round, sixth round, seventh round pick. In any of that, I would take for Laquan Treadwell.
I would actually, this is just me freestyling. I would actually just go for if whoever's doing the negotiating, Spielman, if that's his realm, if we can at least maybe Kyle, no, it's not going to happen, not likely, but if we can get like a second round pick, and I'm only saying like a second in the second round just because
that's too high,
just based off football wise, because he was a first round draft
sure,
pick.
Yep.
I mean, I'm saying like it's not likely, but that'll be nice if we can at least attempt to ask for something like that, as far as like to get compensated with a higher draft pick than like what we all know.
You got a good shout out in the chat. Adder said, even though he's playing for the Raiders, Dorian's still going to give him the donkey every week. David says we should give them a sixth round pick to take him. So you guys
take him, and our sixth. We'll give you another pick. Just yes.
Yeah, you get Laquan Treadwell and a sixth round draft pick, and just like fucking have it. Just we're done with this.
Remember we joked around about remember the one guy, I think Adam brought this up. This guy on eBay was trying to sell a Laquan Treadwell autographed Laquan Treadwell jersey for like $30 or something, and it just like went like, just like untouched, unwatched, or whatever, what have you.
Yeah.
Okay, no, add that jersey to the deal. That autographed jersey, give that person that's selling
right.
That jersey.
Right. We'll throw in an autographed jersey too. I like that. This is a big topic. Probably bigger than a quick hit, but we're going to discuss it right now. You can file this as a rumor because I don't think it's been like officially happened yet, but there seems like to be a really good likelihood that Mike Priefer is going to be joining the Cleveland Browns as their special teams coordinator. For the past couple of weeks, there have been, you read one rumor that says, oh, he's gone, and then you read another rumor that says the Vikings end his contract, and now they're saying that he's going to Cleveland. So we've been kind of up and down in the whole gauntlet of what we think is going to happen with this one. I am okay with no Mo Priefer, like they said in the chat. No Mo. No Mo.
No Mo.
No Mo. No Mo Priefer. What do you think, Dorian? Mike Priefer, are you happy?
Yes, I'm happy. I'm staying. Give him,
yeah,
he's a fucking asshole. Whatever. No, for real. I'm ecstatic that he's gone. But on a slight side note, I'm kind of hoping that it is a rumor as far as like him going to Cleveland. Pretty much Cleveland is finally on a positive turn, and I just don't think football-wise, I don't think that's a good move for them to bring, him in to the fold.
Right.
With what they have going on. So I'm kind of rooting for Cleveland to kind of bounce back and, be relevant again and not the, one of the laughing stock, franchises or whatever. I feel for their fan base. They've gone through it long enough. I'm not trying to get all of into it like that, but I just hope that it's just a room. I hope that Cleveland just gets somebody else. I just don't think that he fits into where they're trying to go, the direction that they're trying to go. I don't think that he.
Yeah, I am out of Minnesota. It reminds me of something that Chris Carter was talking about. Like, you got to have a fall guy. And I think that a lot of the problems that Minnesota had on special teams with the kicker and some other issues we've had, you got to have a fall guy. And Mike Priefer has been here for a while. They just can't get the kicker thing figured out. And you got to move on from him in a new and all of that stuff. Uh, you look at Daniel Carlson, was an absolute bust for Minnesota, and then he goes to Oakland, and what does he do? They fix him, and he's like sets their record for like accurate kickers, like most accurate rookie kicker that they've had. All that it
And it
took was
was
better.
instant.
Yes, all that it took was better coaching than what he got in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So why would you want to keep the guy who couldn't coach Daniel Carlson? Like, why do you want to keep Mike Priefer? Let him go. Let him go. I did a poll on Facebook where I asked you guys, what do you think they should do with him? And 72% of you voted to fire Mike Priefer, with only 28% saying to keep him in 2019. So, at least according to our fan base, the percentage of people that voted on our Facebook group said to fire Mike Priefer. So, I think we're all kind of on the same page here.
Yeah, I'm just kind of surprised, and I'm not knocking anybody that voted to keep him. I don't feel any type of way or anything personal against you, but it's just this guy. What we just broke down, what you just broke down again, Kyle, about his coaching. How could you want to keep him? You know that 20. You know, saying that 20% odd. Why would you be in favor of keeping him around? That
Right.
still kind of wows me.
Well, I guess, I mean, to be fair, there was a time that we had talked about Mike Priefer being able to, well, he'll be a hot candidate one day for like a head coaching position. And,
Mm-hmm.
he filled in for Mike Zimmer when Zimmer had the eye issue and we needed a coach for a game. He stepped up. I don't know why I stuttered. He stepped up and filled in for the head coach for the Vikings as well, too. So there
Mm-hmm.
was a time that, he was talked about as potentially being that guy around the league, and it never really kind of came to fruition. So maybe that was where the 28% was coming from on saying to keep him.
Okay, I can understand. I mean,
Yep.
I'm asking the question, but I'm not judging anybody
Yep.
that any one of you guys that voted for him to keep him. You know, is nothing personal against you, but I just the proof was kind of like in the pudding. Other than that, of what he was doing, and in particular with the kicking situation, it just wasn't. Yeah, I just didn't see any, um, like good end game for what I'm saying for us.
Yeah.
Other than to move on. And I'm glad that we did. I'm glad that the organization decided to move on from him.
So now this means we're going to have an opening at the special teams position for the Vikings. And I really don't know. I can't say that I'm a guru on like, oh, well, here's these guys, these assistants from around the league that the Vikings could look for. Like, I'm not that guy. Uh, so I don't know who's going to come in to fill it, but I hope they're able to fill the position quickly. Because, you don't like to have a vacancy too long on
Right.
the team. You like to get your
Mm-hmm.
staff together, even though the off season just started. Like, you like to get those positions filled and taken care of, I think, as soon as possible.
Yep, solidify it and pretty much so everybody's intact as far as as before the draft comes and pretty much everything is solid. There's no questions or in between as far as of who's gonna be here and who's not. So absolutely right about that.
Yep. We can move on here. The next one I have is about former Vikings guard Steve Hutchinson. We're a big fan of Hutch here at the podcast. At least I am. I
But
assume I assume I can speak for everyone, uh, including those not with us. He is among the 15 modern era finalists for the 2019 NFL Hall of Fame. So, congratulations to Steve Hutchinson. I think he is worthy of being in the Hall of Fame. What about you, Dorian?
I second that. The Hutch he was a beast like all his time in Seattle, and then we were fortunate to have him over in Minnesota. Just always, Steve Hutchinson was always solid. He was always reliable and consistent. That's what I was looking for. The word I was looking for. He was always consistent. I don't think his his play has ever dipped during his, during his career. Like, he was always consistent.
Not
Put up,
really. Like,
yeah,
dude, even when he left and went to Tennessee, he played at a high level for the Titans
yeah,
as well, too.
yeah.
At the very
Which
end of his
pissed me
career.
off because I didn't want him to go. I don't know. I forgot the situation or what led him why he had to go. I don't know if we couldn't afford him or what had, but I was highly upset because I wanted him to stay
Yeah,
with us. It would have been
that
nice to
was
be in his career with us.
that was how I felt with Matt Burke too. Like Matt Burke is
Oh,
one of my favorite players of all time for Minnesota, and I mean, like, I'm glad. Hey, he got his Super Bowl ring with the Ravens,
mhm.
so like, congratulations. Like, I'm really happy for him that he got that. But man, I wanted him to finish his career in Minnesota. I was a big fan of
Soda,
Matt Burke.
yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
it was weird seeing them in Ravens colors, yeah.
and not too weird because it's still purple,
Right, but it's still like the
right?
damn team, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I get what you're saying, man.
Hutch was one of those players for Minnesota that I will always just remember that 2009 season with Brett Favre. Like, they seemed to be really good on and off the field, and so I'll always have that connection with Steve Favre and how he was part of the off-season group of veterans that talked Brett into coming back in 2010. It was Hutch and Jared Allen and who
Mhm.
else? There was a, there was
Those
like
are the two that sticks out in my mind.
it was Hutch, Allen, Ryan Longwell,
Ryan Long,
right?
yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I think there was
I want
someone
to say
else who
Kevin Williams for some reason, but I might be wrong. I want to say Kevin Williams
maybe
there too.
they might have had the Star Cap shit going on at the time. Him and Pat. I don't remember, but I'll always remember those guys for going down and just how cool that was that like the veterans got together and were like, nah, we're gonna fly down and we're gonna talk Brett Favre out of retirement and coming back. And yeah, that didn't work out the way we all wanted it to, but who cares? That's cool. Like
Right.
that's the teamwork. That's the players coming together and being friends and like, nah, man, like we need fucking Brett Favre on this to do this. And
Mm-hmm.
that was
No, you're
really cool.
right.
It was really cool, man.
You right, man. You right. I hope he gets in. Yeah, I really do. I hope that he gets voted in because he deserves it. He
It's
deserves
tough because it's tough, man, because there's so many players that are deserving of being in the Hall of Fame that they don't all make it, which sucks.
That's true.
Oh, here's a great one. This is really funny. So, former Vikings head coach Brad Childress has stepped down as the head coach of the Atlanta Legends. That was a team in the Alliance of American Football League. Uh, and why would he step down? The season was supposed to start. Well, the rumor is that Kevin Stefanski, he had interviewed with Cleveland to be their head coach. Brad Childress thought that if Kevin Stefanski got that job, he was going to be the offensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns. And then they didn't hire Kevin Stefanski, and now Brad Childress isn't coaching anywhere. Womp womp. That that one didn't quite work out the way I hoped. Maybe he should have waited. Maybe he should have waited, Dorian, to see if Kevin was going to get the job first before he quit his other job in the Alliance of American Football League.
That's a
I
fucking hoot.
I don't know.
That's a fucking hoot. I really don't have too much more to add to it. I mean, hell, the proof is in the pudding. The shit is funny as hell, and you're too grown to make dumbass decisions like that. Period. Period.
That's proof, though.
For the thing is, the league hasn't even started yet, Kyle. And really, you're just gonna go. You're gonna
There
quit
are
your job on a hunch. On a
so
hunch.
So they are a month out from starting the Alliance of American Football League, and Brad Childress assembled this team from nothing. Like, him and his staff picked every player. Like, you picked this team, and then you left. Oh my! What an idiot! What an idiot, dude!
Like, could you imagine if he? I wouldn't blame him. Could you imagine if he tries to get his job back? Like,
Oh,
if they let him back, like, hey guys, I was just playing.
like, hi, just fucking with you.
That is so fucking rich, man. Oh wow.
Oh, what an idiot!
Yeah.
That's proof that he needed Andy Reid to be a good coach. Like,
Yes.
you take Andy Reid away from Brad Childress,
Yeah.
and that 2009 team, that had nothing to do with Brad Childress being the head coach. That was Brett Favre stepping in and running the show. That was a good team that Brett Favre came into, and no one coached Brett Favre. No offensive coordinator, no head coach. Like he stepped in, he called the plays on the field, and we won because of Brett.
Kyle,
You hit,
we
yeah,
joked around. Well, this is before I became a part of the podcast. Was just listening as a fan and
sure.
just being friends. But didn't we all like kind of joke around about this? Like basically like Brett Favre was like the player coach for the
Yeah,
Minnesota
he
Vikings.
was.
Because it just seemed like it was like I didn't see anybody rally around Brad Childress. Like they might have talked to him, whatever. I'm talking about like other players, but far as like the guy that you saw other players engaging with wasn't Brad Childress, wasn't the head coach. It was Brett Favre.
Well, it was always Brett. Yeah, of
You know,
course,
and
of
Brett
course.
was talking to guys both on both on offense and defense.
There's a really great video of Brett Favre on the sideline with Daryl Bevel, and Daryl has his play sheet and Brett about something that he wanted to do, and Brett just blows him off, and he's like, "Just throw it deep to Sydney," because that was when Sidney Rice was having, a career year thanks to Favre, and
Right.
he's like, "Nah, just throw it deep to Sydney. Like they can't cover him. Like don't worry about it." And then it's like an NFL Films video, and then it cuts to like the next play, Brett Favre just throwing it deep, like totally ignoring what Bevel told him to do, just throwing it deep to Sidney Rice for like a big play. It might have even been a touchdown, and then coming off they can't cover him.
I think I remember that. That sounds familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
You didn't coach Brett.
No,
You just
no,
didn't do it, man.
no.
Let's see here. I'm gonna this next one. We like reverse order because this one is kind of a downer a little bit. I have a Mike Zimmer quote where he talked about Tony Sperano and kind of the effect that had on the season. And he said that really kind of threw things into a little bit of a downward spiral, only because of the fact that this guy talking about Tony Sperano was an A-type personality. He was very innovative in the running game, and he had a strong voice in the locker room and a strong voice with me. I do feel that we lost a little bit of our identity, and then he goes on to say that we're going to get that back. So, we had wondered a lot as fans about like, what happened with the 2018 season for Minnesota? Like, why didn't we live up to expectations? And I really do think that after you hear that quote and you hear about the loss of Tony Sperano and how sudden it was, uh, that really had a big impact on the Vikings. And it's difficult. And I don't think that the people uh, who took over for him, it's not that they didn't do a good job of coaching. It's just, well, like we were talking about, Brett Favre uh, was a leader and a vocal leader, and it sounds like Tony Sperano was a lot like Brett Favre in that he was that vocal leader in the locker room for the team uh, and the coaching staff, and so that's difficult to replace.
Yeah, man. That was that yeah that hit hard a little bit for me because it was just kind of like damn. But the more that coach elaborated on it, it started. It really did like make sense and can kind of like okay where you can understand. I mean, of course, us as being fans or whatever, all we see is we want our team to win. We want this person to do whoever it is, Kirk Cousins, well, whoever. We want them. They need to do this. They need to do that. They don't need to do that. Whatever. We critique all that, but it was just like Coach kind of like you know what I'm saying, lifted the veil a little bit, for us as, you know what I'm saying, not just for the media, but for us as Vikings fans to kind of like just to kind of just give like a feeling of what was actually going on and the feeling and everything like that. And like I said, just maybe understand a little bit more. So,
And it's very difficult. And like Adder brings up in the chat, Mike Zimmer was on the verge of tears talking about him at the beginning of the season. Like he was Sperano was a friend of Mike Zimmer's clearly, and he
mm-hmm,
had a lot of you can tell that Zimmer had a lot of him. On top of you know all the obvious personal reasons, you look at the X and O's of how that affected the Viking season. And as fans, we do this thing as fans where we boil the offensive line down and we make it way easier than what it actually is. Where as a because we just say all you have to do is just block the guy in front of you. Well, there's really a hell of a lot more to it than just blocking the guy in front of you. Like there's different schemes and different all kinds of nuances that go into this, and you can tell where he says in this quote, he was very innovative in the run game. And that comes from coaching the offensive line, knowing those X and O take for granted. We take all of that for granted. Uh, that it's a coach that goes out there that figures out the schemes and how to maximize your talent so that you can have a decent run game. And losing that right before the season start, that really hurt this Vikings team. I think so.
mm-hmm. It made sense, man. Like, that was the beginning of the season, and then pretty much we were to press, press on. We started off the season, the first couple games or whatever, just looking really good, and then pretty much then we were hit with Everson's situation. So I mean,
Yeah, and
with those two things,
that's
we've
right
seen a
too.
lot exactly. So between those two things, like I'm pretty sure that was like that took an emotional toll on this football team, and it seemed like okay was already playing saying for coach, but then when Everson, it just seemed like it was just like a punch to the gut and just all the air just flew out, just came out of us. And as a result you saw the offense kind of slowing down, the defense especially started to kind of decline a little bit, and it was just kind of going through the motions. So it's could only imagine what the both the team and the staff, emotionally, mentally, we're going through, this season.
Right, and the stuff with Everson Griffin, that's a whole nother subject. But you talk about a guy who just is motivating to be around. You know what I mean? Like there's so much
Mm-hmm.
energy that he has that he brings to the team. And a couple of the times that God, why are the Vikings playing so flat? Everson was there, but he still didn't really seem like he was 100% himself.
Mm-hmm.
You miss the Everson who's on the sidelines and motivating the offense, the defense, the special teams. Like
Yes.
you need players like him, like Jared Allen, like Brett Favre. Like you need guys like that to motivate your team. And I hope that we can get that Everson back as well too.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt. I'm totally confident. With obviously our season being over and the off season and everything like that, I'm pretty sure it should give Everson enough time to just really just focus on himself, and I'm pretty sure that's what he's doing, even with him coming back. But just to continue just to focus on himself, his family,
Yeah,
and he
yep.
has plenty of time to get his head together, and then I'm pretty sure after stuff comes around, I'm pretty sure Everson will be back to being sack daddy, to being that, that spark, that, and he has the support from this organization. That's obvious, and that's saying that's clear. So I believe
Right
that
on, man. Right on.
Griffin will be back, no doubt.
Yep. Our main topic. we're kind of flying through this week's show, but well, it's just the two of us, so that happens. Our main topic for this week is, of course, that Kevin Stefanski has been named the Vikings offensive coordinator in 2019. Dorian, what do you think?
Yay, I love it. Just for the fact that it's
Continuity.
thank you. You took the word right
Yep.
out of my mouth. I
Yep.
mean, just somebody that's here. I was kind of in terms of possibly bringing somebody else in. I guess the only word I can describe it is bringing an outsider in. It would just be like just a once again just a process for what I'm saying, for the offense, of once again to
Right.
get used to a new voice and a new scheme, and a different mindset and stuff. So I'm elated with this move. It seems like the team is our offense is content, and and is good with Stefanski. In particular, everybody has their opinions about our quarterback, Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins seems to be 100% on board with Stefanski, so I think
I
that's
hope
a
so.
positive. So I believe that's a positive going into next
Yep.
season, this training camp and everything. And I like the move. I like it that pretty much we kept it in house. Yeah, I like it that we kept it in
It
house.
keeps it keeps continuity. I like that a lot. Uh, I did not like a lot of the names that were being thrown around that were attached to the team. Fucking Hugh Jackson, I'd have quit this podcast if that. I'm joking, but man, if they'd have hired Hugh Jackson, I'd fucking quit this podcast right now. Like, did not want
Okay.
no.
Why? Because I kind of disagree with you. I mean, I'm not like
Sure.
just going hard with in defense of Hugh Jackson, but I just want to get your. You never like explained, like we talked about it, but you never
Well,
explained like fully like why would Hugh Jackson be like, oh my gosh, like no, what are we doing? Why would that be?
I and a lot of this is from watching him on Hard Knocks. But you just like look at him. He never felt like a guy that I would believe in. Like if I was a player, I wouldn't buy into anything that the guy has to say. Like I don't know. I just didn't like. I just don't like it. And just the whole. I don't know. I don't want the stank of the Cleveland Browns in the Vikings locker room. I just don't want that, dude.
The stank of the Cleveland Browns. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I kind of like thought different.
leader.
Pretty much because
That was
Hugh
what I was trying to
Jackson.
get at.
Oh, okay. Like Hugh
Yeah,
Jackson to me, he knows offense. That's his, that's his bread and butter. I mean, pretty
yep,
much it was the same thing. Okay, I mean, it was the same thing. I kind of compared it to North Turner. North Turner, when he was a head coach for the Chargers, North Turner wasn't the best, head coach, but North Turner's bread and butter was offense. So, and then when we brought him in, I was fucking elated that, oh hell yeah, like we're gonna, we're gonna do some things now. So I wouldn't have been mad or upset, and just because of the continuity. I mean, him and Zim and Hugh Jackson have that as well when they were coach, because they
yeah,
coached
that's true.
together in Cincinnati, I believe. So that was
I
another
like
thing. Like
Stefanski.
it was out, he was an outsider, but it's like,
Yep,
okay, at least he's not like he's coming into the fold. Okay, where there's some familiarity, what I'm saying, between the head coach and the offensive coordinator, and then everybody has respect for the head coach. So I think Hugh could have came in and
right, right.
but whatever. I'm glad we don't even have to worry about that scenario. Whether it's Hugh Jackson or whoever else was on the list of candidates, you know. Cooter would have
I
been
do
cool.
like some of what I've heard from Kevin Stefanski listening to him talk. He reminds me a little bit of Pat Shermer. In the Pat Shermer was really big on I want to find out what my players do best, and I want to ask them to do that on the field. And Stefanski seems to have an idea of we need to find out what we do good in Minnesota. What are our players comfortable doing? That is what we're to do on the field. Stefan Diggs has a different skill set than Laquan Treadwell, clearly. So I'm not gonna ask Laquan Treadwell to do the same thing that Stefan Diggs does on the field because they're different players and they got different skills. And so he has to figure out, we have to as a team what our players do and how we can utilize them best on the field. And I think that is why Pat Shurmur had such good success with Minnesota, is because of that mentality. And if the Vikings can get back to that, I think that that is how they will have success in 2019.
I totally 100,000% agree with that.
That is actually the end of our notes this week, Dorian.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, really. You got anything else you want to talk about since we're here?
Wow.
Because, you know, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, like free agency, but we'll be doing like free agent breakdown stuff when the other guys get back. We'll be talking about draft, all of that good stuff.
Right. Yeah. So pretty much it wouldn't make any sense for us to dive into that, and just the two of us.
Yeah. We got a question. Do you think we'll be looking for an offensive coordinator again next year? If he does well, will he go off and be a head coach? That is a very strong possibility. I do think so. I think that could very well happen again for Minnesota.
Damn, and that sucks. So I guess I'm just assuming, because I don't think his contract like information was out. So this is is this just for this season, just like signed up for another year?
I don't know. I do know that Mike Zimmer is on the last year of his contract and has not got an extension, which doesn't mean I don't want people to flip out and take that out. Doesn't mean they're not working on one. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. But that is an interesting little side note. I don't remember is going anywhere, but he is currently on the last year of his. Never know. It is the NFL. Anything is possible.
That's true. That is true. So I mean that's a great question, and pretty much it'll definitely be interesting.
Because I do think it is fair.
Mm-hmm.
It is fair to say if they underperform in 2019, the Vikings ownership could be looking to go in a different direction. As much as I hate to say that, but and I think that would take. It's the last year of Rick Spielman's contract as well too. So if they drastically underperform,
oh yeah,
there could be a big shakeup.
Some of our fan base are talking about, oh yeah, it's time for us to clean house. Well, yeah, if we underperform, that's very well what we're going to be looking. That's going to be our future. It's going to be clean house. It's going to be new, potentially new GM, potentially new head coach.
Yep, and for that to happen, you're looking like 5 wins or less, which the team that we have, a paper bag could coach this team to more wins than 5. Like, a lot of talent on this team. Like that would take a horrendous breakdown. Yeah. So I like that. That's not going to happen. But it's the off season. We can talk about stupid shit like that.
Of course.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't have anything else, man.
I think that'll do it this week. We'll be back next week. Hopefully we got Adam. Hopefully we got Kyle Smith with us. We enjoy having them. Yes, it gives us more to talk.
Well, thank you for everybody in the chat that joined us. Just thank you for the support always. And yeah, I'm suck at endings and all that other stuff.
All that other shit. Thanks for joining. Yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll be back next week. Stay classy, Minnesota.